Look, I don't think I have ever stayed up past midnight swatching for a stitch pattern. And that happened with this stitch. So obviously I am obsessed with this new stitch and I have to share it with you because I think you're gonna love it too. But for now, to practice, pick a lightweight or medium weight yarn that you have on hand, preferably something that's smooth so you can see the pretty stitch pattern, and something that's a uniform-ish color. First things first, create your slip knot. And chain any odd number of stitches. And if you're already familiar with Tunisian crochet, you'll work your standard forward pass to work up your little foundation row. If you're new to Tunisian, I like to work my hook in the back bump of the chain, and then pull up a loop, and of course leave the loops on your hook. And that's why you have to have a special hook for Tunisian crochet. Kind of like knitting, you have to have all of the stitches on the hook or the needle at the same time. And the only way to work, bigger projects is to have a long crochet hook or a corded Tunisian crochet hook. So that completes the forward pass of our foundation row. To finish the return pass and to finish the first row, we'll yarn over and pull through 1 to make our edge stitch, and then yarn over and pull through 2 for the remainder of the stitches. All right, so for this first row and the entire repeat for your project, you'll find your first bar here and you'll Tunisian simple stitch. So slide your needle through it, yarn over, pull up a loop, and leave it there. Now from here, we're working with full stitches. So find your next bar and the bar you just used, and the space between it is where you'll stick your hook and pull up a loop. So that is a full stitch. And then you'll do that again. See this bar and this bar, put your hook between them, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then Tunisian simple stitch again. Then full stitch, simple stitch. Full, simple. Now at the end of your row, you'll see I ended with a simple stitch. That's what you want to have. And that is like the last stitch that's next to the edge stitch. So see, this is our chain 1 that exists on the side as a result of yarning over and pulling through 1. See those 2 loops there? Just slide your hook right through, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So that'll finish your edge stitch and give it a nice even look. And that's the return pass for the first row. Did I say that right? That's the forward pass for the first row. The return pass is worked different than what you're used to. You'll yarn over and pull through 1 to make that edge stitch. You'll always do that. Then you'll start off normal, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 3. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So that's your repeat. And the reason why we're pulling through 3 there is because we created an extra stitch on our forward pass. So 2, 3, 2, 3. And when you have 3 loops remaining on your hook, you'll yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Now it's even easier from this point. We're working the same repeat as before, just our second row, but it's a little easier because we kind of have something to work with now. So here is the simple stitch. You'll make a simple stitch there. And this is my 2 full stitches. So whenever you see that, you're going to full stitch to one side and then to the other side. So same as before, it just looks a little different. Then simple stitch, full stitch, full stitch, simple stitch. And just like before, you'll see your simple stitch here on the end. You'll work a simple stitch there, and then find your edge stitch. So see the little V there? Well, then when you turn it over, you've got a loop here and you've got a loop there. You'll insert your hook through both of those. And then remember, the return pass is a little different. So yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 on the end. Now at this point, it really doesn't look like much. You have to get, 4 or 5 rows for you to really begin to see the pattern, but it works up surprisingly quick. I can see this stitch being absolutely perfect for blankets because it works up quick and it's a pretty thick and dense fabric, as you'll see once we get a little bit worked up. Also, the reason why I wouldn't necessarily use a bulky weight or a super bulky weight yarn, you can, but just make a little swatch first and make sure it's not going to be too thick for the project you want to make. If you're not worried about having like a nice flowy drape for like a piece of clothing or something like that, then yeah, just work you a little swatch and see if it will work out. When you're on your return pass, if you get distracted and you can't remember if you yarned over and pulled through 2 or 3, just take a look at your hook right here. See, there's a loop here and there's a loop here. So that was a yarn over and pull through 2. Then if I yarn over and pull through 3, you can see I've got the 3 loops there. Even if you've never tried Tunisian crochet before, I would say this stitch is easy enough for maybe not like a true beginner, but a seasoned beginner, we'll say. As long as you know the basics of Tunisian crochet, you can definitely work this stitch. It's a single repeat. The return pass is a little bit different, but all in all, really simple stitch to make. A couple things to notice about this stitch. Tunisian crochet is notorious for curling on the bottom edge and the top edge. Sometimes it's really bad. This stitch though, there's very little curl to this. I have not blocked this swatch. This is, right off of my hook. Teeny bit of curling up on the top corner and just a teeny bit down at the bottom. Now using a bigger hook than you normally would choose. Probably the best tip that I have for reducing the curl in your Tunisian crochet projects. For example, this yarn calls for a 5.5 millimeter. I worked the stitch pattern with an 8 millimeter. So it seems like a drastically big difference, but it makes all the difference in terms of curling. So after you've worked your swatch or your project up as far as you want, you'll have to do a bind off edge in order to finish things off. I'm just gonna rip this out so you can see how it's done. Now, if you were to not do this step, you would have this type of edge here, which is a raw edge, and that's what we want to hide. So here's how you bind off this stitch. You'll still work in your same stitch pattern. So the first stitch is a simple stitch, but instead of leaving it, you'll pull this loop through this one. And then you'll full stitch and full stitch. And then you'll pull the last one through these two. And simple stitch, pull it through, and that's it. That's as simple as it gets. And when you get to the end, you'll bind off your last simple stitch and then work your hook through the side just like normal, but bind that stitch off. So like this, it looks really pretty, but when you turn it over, I mean, that looks as close to the brioche stitch or the fisherman's rib in knitting that I have ever seen with my crochet hooks, and that's why I'm so excited about this pattern. Now, if you want to see the written instructions for the stitch pattern, just check the description below. I'll have a link to where you can get the written instructions completely free on my website so that you can play around with this stitch and work it up in different projects of your own. You can see I'm really excited about this stitch. Can't even get my words out right. You can easily improvise a scarf with this stitch or a blanket without putting much thought into it at all. Basically just make it as wide as you want and keep going until it's as long as you want. And it's really just that simple. Yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, doing all of the things that supports the channel in more ways than you know. Happy hooking, and I'll see you in the next one.